A lion should not feed on an antelope. They are both animals.
The people that are selling the idea of democracy themselves do not practice democracy.
If four devils at different degrees from political parties emerge, the people in the community have no choice but to choose between four devils.
That's true.
And we would have reduced the number of devils if the people in the community were active players in the regulatory bodies that produce these people. It's important to note that one of the easiest countries to succeed and make money is Nigeria. This is the only country where you can negotiate with NEPA. So I think that we have to start with the amendment of the 1999 Constitution.
It is not about what you keep for them. It's about what you leave in them. Welcome to Powercast. This is where we treat life issues, navigating the relationship between people, politics, and policies. My name is Solomon Wheaternex, and I come with a bit of juice here and there. You see, today, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, and I will start it with a bit of my story. In 2010, I was a part of a group of young people. We came up with a group or an organization called the Nigerian Dream. What was our goal? Our goal was to educate people from primary to secondary school on values and then impact patriotism on them. So, 1st of October 2010, we decided to do something very landmark in the heart of GRA, the center of the road. We stopped all the cars. We sang the national anthem. We held our hands on our chest and we commanded passion. All the cars stopped. And then we felt that we were going somewhere. Only that we didn't know that our leader, then we had a mentor, had gone to collect money from our patron, collected money and connived with some other members and hid the money. This is a group of young people. We were shouting Nigerian Dream. Young people. One young guy went behind, collected money. There, 200K, and pocketed the money. 200K. So I was now asking, was this what we were teaching people? Where is the Nigerian Dream? A country where the reason why we came together was because we believed that we could do something well. And then coincidentally, in the landscape of politics, it appeared as if that there was rays of hope. There was a new transition government coming in and currency was a bit stable, food prices were down, insecurity was almost non-existent. It looked like Nigeria was on the path. But that was my first taste of betrayal to the Nigerian Dream. Very close betrayal. So we're going to be discussing the Nigerian Dream today. Is it dead, long dead, or alive? And with me are interesting people. But before we introduce our guest, who happens to be a believer in the Nigerian Dream, I want to introduce my co-anchor.
Yeah, good people of Nigeria. My name is iAlive. iAlive is my name. Let's get it done with.
All right. Now we have introduced Samuel Osondo, also known as iAlive, because you know that you're always going to have a dose of laugh with him. So now I want to introduce our guest, but I will leave him to do the introduction to him by himself before we now get on. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yourself?
Thank you for having me, Sammy. Thank you for having me, Solomon. I am Olomati Isaiah. A couple of people like to refer to me as the principal. In some climes, I am recognized foremost as a management consultant, and in other spaces, people quickly recognize me for my role in the entertainment. And then in another aspect, people also recognize me as an active politician. I was part of the general elections that held in Nigeria. In my hometown, Am Rivers, running for the House of Assembly for Port Harcourt Constituency 1. So a good number of people know me for different expressions. And that's safe to say that I am a multi-dimensional person. Thank you.
Like the scripture will say, double-edged sword.
You can say that again.
I think this one is more than double. All right, you're welcome, Isaiah.
Thank you.
And the part of you that we're going to really be talking about is the political part, because one of the logos of this program is politics. And we would want to talk about the Nigerian dream. Is it alive to you, or is it long dead? And then, what is the Nigerian dream to you?
So, first of all, the Nigerian dream is an illusion in its idea. It's an illusion in its idea because we cannot wrap the Nigerian dream in a clear statement.
Unlike the American dream.
Unlike the American dream.
But even the American dream was not gazetted or documented. It was the ideology of one man who came to say that this is what an ideal community should be like. And that was why it was now called the dream.
So that goes to say, first off, that we have not exactly had leaders that can command the quality of leadership required to shape culture. That's what it goes to say. Now, the Nigerian dream, first of all, Nigeria is only Nigeria because of the people, not its landmass.
Yeah.
The people make Nigeria.
That's true.
When you walk the streets of Nigeria, you hear regular, everyday Nigerians telling you what they think, what they feel, what they expect, and what they hope for Nigeria. The dream is first in what the people communicate before the outcome. So the people are consistently communicating a dream. The difference is that that dream has not come to fruition. So we cannot say that the dream is dead because the dream has not come to fruition. It's like a vision. I want to start a company.
Yeah.
I cannot say the vision of the company is dead, except I give up on the vision first. So the vision is still potent and alive, hoping that at some point within our history, it's like waiting after the Tutsis and the Hutsis and all of them had their problem. Mandela had a vision. It took a while. Germany had a vision. It took a while. The likes of the United States of America have come through 1,000 years or thereabout. It took a while for them to get here. Now, I am not saying that we must go through their process.
That's true.
I am only saying that part of achieving a dream must be that those who conceive the dream must be practical and realistic. Else, the dream now becomes your frustration.
And if I am to add, exemplary.
Yes.
Because if you want to say you have a dream and you are not living by the tenets of your belief, people are bound to not follow what you are saying. So you are just literally telling them, do as I say, don't do as I do.
Yes.
It becomes an illusion.
It becomes an illusion. But even at that, I'm pretty careful. I'm pretty careful because some of the people who have attempted to take leadership and steer the people in this direction have always been idealists. The problem with being an idealist is not recognizing that our world is not an ideal world, it's a dynamic world.
Yeah.
Now, when we enter dynamic responsibilities, we are now standing from perspective points. It's a prison. There are things I will do in the advancement of our goal that you will not agree with. Because it does not seem ideal to you. If we go by the principle of idealism, a lion should not feed on an antelope. They are both animals.
That's true.
But in the dynamics preservation of our world, there must be that feeding. That feeding is necessary evil for the advancement of that ecosystem.
Now, speaking of necessary evil, it takes me to a point, even though it would take us a bit out. I am not a believer of democracy, especially for Africa.
Yeah.
I believe that we have not found ourselves. We should be able to find ourselves and then know the type of governance that is suitable for us. So
I think differently.
you think differently?
Yes.
Because this is my point. I feel that the people that are selling the idea of democracy themselves do not practice democracy. Wait, I'll explain.
I hear you. I hear you.
So if I bring the United Kingdom, for example, you have the House of Lords.
Yeah.
You don't see them. You have the House of Commons.
Yeah.
The House of Lords are the ones that literally designs and approves anything that you hear in the House of Commons. There is no prime minister that will become a prime minister without the approval of the House of Lords. And then you have a monarchy that the person is there for almost forever. Does not even change family. So they have a front, a pseudo democracy,
Good.
which is fronted by the prime minister and the House of Commons. And they tell you this is democracy, everybody should do this. But they don't practice that because it is whatever the king wants, that's what happens. But then they will now use a funny means to make the House of Commons have to rub it and paint it and then brush it up, and you now accept it. That is for the United Kingdom. When you go to America, there is something called the Electoral College. You don't know the Electoral College. Even if the American population is 300 million and 300 million people vote for a candidate, 300 million of them vote for a candidate.
Yeah.
And the Electoral College, they're around 300 and something, and they vote for another candidate. The candidate that the Electoral College votes for
We'll have it.
will have it. That was what brought President Trump in his first, Hillary won the popular vote. That's what they called it. Then the Electoral College voted for them. But what they have done for Africa and Nigeria is to let us see this front part and say, run with this front part, which if you are a student of history, anthropology, and economics, or politics, you understand that this thing that they show is just the face.
Yeah.
The people playing the music are behind. Electoral College, House of Lords. So here, we need to define what works for us and design a kind of system that would work for us. So when you said you didn't agree, I would want to hear what is your opinion of what I have said in line with democracy that we're practicing.
So what you have done, because you have helped me. I was going to talk about all of this before I land.
Wow.
Absolute democracy anywhere in the world is chaos, is the jungle. It's a measure of primitivity. Democracy that will work must be pseudo-democracy.
Which in essence means democracy does not exist.
I mean, in
anything that is
essence,
pseudo.
Yes, it's an idea.
Yeah.
It's an idea where people have a measure of freedom.
Yeah.
Absolute freedom is lunacy.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's like you're making your dog feel like you're part of the
It has
family.
control,
Yeah,
but
you're
you really have control. That's how it should be. Why? Let's be more practical. If you want to run a company and every of your staff in the company has a say, we have divergent views. That company cannot advance. There has to be someone
no two persons think
who
the
has
same way.
leadership enough and knows where to apply autocracy and say we are going in this direction. Let me draw your attention to something that happened most recently that had a lot of power. The Lekki Tollgate challenge. You see that across the country, there was so much power, but they all had an agreement in one part, that they had no leader.
Yes.
All of the power and all of the lives, quite frankly, lost, amounted to nothing because they
there was no
had
leader.
absolute democracy amongst themselves.
Yeah.
The people in River State had their arguments. The people in Lagos had their argument. They could not come to a point. It is why the military also is constantly successful. They are all working, but the battalion is not on the strategy table. There have to be people representing the interest of the people or the battalion and the common goal within a room that will give the instruction.
Well,
So the more we push for absolute democracy, the more we ask, even though not clearly, for chaos. And we will continue to experience that. We may not accept or adopt completely the American process to it. We may not take in the approach of the House of Lords, but we have to find,
To fine-tune what suits
we have
our
to
people.
fine-tune what suits our people. Let me make it even more practical and come back home. We're currently, and that this is new to us, gearing up for the 2027 election when we shouldn't be gearing
When
up
we
for
shouldn't
the
be.
2027 election. But we have the obedient movement, who have a Peter Obi as their leader. The obedient movement had threatened the heaven and earth, saying Peter Obi cannot work with a certain article, saying Peter Obi cannot work with a certain Malami, saying Peter Obi cannot work with a certain El Rufai.
yeah.
When you look at the political landscape, you also realize that the core of the obedient movement are naive to political
Yes.
maneuverings. So if you want to listen to their naivety, they have lost the election before it begins.
That's true.
Because they want an ideal state in a dynamic world. So they may be understanding this or not understanding it, have decided, because there's a difference between being a politician and an activist.
Yeah.
Very big difference.
Activists often don't think. They want it to happen like this, and it must happen like this.
And they are controlled by idealism.
Yes. Politicians are not controlled in that way. They think collaboration. They think consequences. They think partnership. They think opportunity costs.
And they also think betrayal.
They think all of these and take a decision on the back of that. They are willing to compromise. I will let go of this just so that we can get here.
this.
The activist is saying if it's not this way,
No way.
it's no other way. And that is why they make bad politicians. Because they do not understand that the world is not ideal, it's dynamic. So now, you have had this said leader, which is Peter Obi, who is the leader of who the obedient movement revolves around.
Yeah.
Find a way, whether really or not really, but there is a perception being sold in a certain political party that all these people that the said obedient people disagree with, they have found a similitude of alignment. Guess what? All of these people have equally aligned.
Yeah.
That is how it works. If they did not have a measure, because that's what it is, of autocracy, to say this is where we are going, they won't find alignment. They will continue beating around the bush. So there has to be a measure of autocracy for any system that will succeed to work.
You know, like you talked about the Nigerian dream. Basically, quote unquote, the Nigerian dream seems to be an idea
Yes.
of the everyday Nigerian, wanting a better financial structure,
True.
wanting to be where their voice will count,
Yes.
wanting to be where those that stand against development will be brought to book.
Yes.
So on. So, is that happening? If it is not, what is the way forward?
I think we've been back and forth that part, in the sense that it happens to a certain degree, we lose it at a certain degree. It happens to a certain degree, we lose it at a certain degree. So we will be back and forth that part until we begin to have upright, necessary leaders step on the scene.
How do we get that happen?
Well, we will get that to happen first if the majority of the people seeking this quality of life will be willing to become parts of political parties. You see, the real decision of the leaders who emerge is done in the political party. If 4 devils at different degrees from political parties emerge, the people in the community have no choice but to choose between 4 devils.
That's true.
And we would have reduced the number of devils if the people in the community were active players in the regulatory bodies that produce these people.
That takes me to what I called a societal menace, where
Yes.
I see a pattern where a lot of the average people, average in the sense that, let me give a description. They work in IOCs, they work in the banks, they earn a bit of significant amount of money. Some of them live in gated estates or streets that have been gated and formed to be an estate.
With bulldogs without machetes.
Yes. And in their mind, I don't need to get into this thing, it's dirty. What do you advise these people? Because they are the reason why the politicians behave the way they do. Because today, if I get into the field, you get into the field, he gets into the field, just like the example you've given, it will make it uncomfortable for a tout to want to feel like he wants to hijack the system.
Yeah.
Because not only do we know the toutism system, we also know the good life system. So we know how to navigate the path. But unfortunately, a lot of these people have told themselves, I don't need to get into the system.
Yeah.
And or rather what they would do is to sell their houses, sell their cars, and then jackpot to another man's country. I was having a conversation with a friend, and he was complaining about Trump chasing people out. I said, I'm not really against Trump because he may not be a Red Indies, born in America. His parents were immigrants. But it is people like his parents that built America.
Truthfully.
That's why there is something called the people that built America.
Yeah.
Can we have people that would say built Nigeria instead of everybody running? And these people running are the class of people that can make a change. What would you advise this class of people that instead of you to stay and fight, you rather run? How do you expect the country to be good?
So I do think, first off, we have to point out that the people that have built any nation of the world into whatever it is are always a few.
True.
The people who have destroyed any nation, no matter how insignificant that destruction may seem, no matter how major it may also seem, are also a few. So, for Nigeria, I think that the people who have the wherewithal, as it were, are supposed to pay more attention to the system. First, it's important to note that one of the easiest countries to succeed and make money is Nigeria.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
This is one of the few countries in the world that you can wake up as a young man with clarity, focus, and vision, have a plan, and within 1 week, without a CAC registration, without an office space, without stealing money, you can actually do 500,000, 1 million between your phone and your laptop. This is, and you won't pay tax on it.
Yeah, the truth is you won't pay tax.
Right? You won't pay tax. This is one of the few countries across the world where you have access to water. Though we complain that we provide our own water, but you are not charged for it. If you are in the UK, you are charged for water. If you are in the UK, you are charged for gas. If you are in the UK, you are charged for power. This is the only country where you can negotiate with NEPA. It is one of the few countries you can negotiate with your landlord.
That's true.
Yes, true.
And this doesn't happen in any other part of the world.
And sometimes you can owe your landlord for 6 months
For 6
and you're not
months.
thrown out.
And you're not thrown out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is one of the very few countries where if you have integrity, you can quite frankly get a product on credit. One of the few countries. Right? So people who have a good head on their neck can do some measure of advancement and survival in this country, as unlike other countries. Now, I think that these people that we have mentioned, from the IOCs and banks and who are doing very well, forget that they wield a measure of influence. We are a communal people in Nigeria. Across Africa, we are communal people. So we rally around that one person who is most successful in the family,
Yeah.
and he's able to wield power. When people say, And when we come to a Nigerian election and people say, oh, how is the grandma in the village going to know where to vote? Don't worry. The grandma in the village has a son called Chikodi. When he enters the village and tells her this is where you will vote, she votes based on his preference.
That's true.
So that is a massive influence that they control. If they realize that they have this quality of influence within the nuclear family first, they can take that quality of influence into the political parties, because political parties, the people who wield influence in political parties are not just the people who have numbers, they are the people who have the money.
Money, yes.
So they have the money. They should be part of it. They may not be there present, but those who have the money have the say.
True.
And if you have them in abundance and they are good people, they can sway the direction.
So I think I am getting an idea here that I'm going to share with diasporans and people here. So this is a strategy that you can do. So you can register in that political party in your ward.
Yes.
All you should be doing is, if you're in UK, America, be sending them steady money every month.
Yeah.
Your money would record your presence more than the party secretary.
And you have a say.
To the extent that the day you are returning, the party will know that an Odogu is around.
Yeah.
Because they know that you are contributing something. So in fact, that's one way we can use to build this country. It's a good idea that he has brought. And that's why I'm sharing it. So wherever you are, join a political party in your ward and be sending money. Don't join the whole state, in your ward. Because anything they are sharing in the Nigerian political system, it starts from the ward.
Yes.
Even if it is commissioner, ministerial, it starts from the ward. They will ask, this thing is supposed to go to Ward 1, Unit 3. We have not produced anything. Unit 5 will say, no, Unit 3, you produced chairman the other time. That's when they will remember. There is one Chikodi that has been consistent with his dues for 3 years.
Yeah.
But Chikodi is in America. Someone will quickly text you, can you come down to Nigeria now? And you fly down. Before you know, that those values that you have, you bring it into the system.
To add to that, those in the diaspora must learn that traveling to the diaspora is hopefully, probably suggestive of seeking for greener pastures. It should not require disconnecting from the roots.
Yeah.
So if you have enough money to send and you are disconnected from the roots, you can't make recommendations.
True.
Because you don't know the players at the roots.
Yeah.
These are the issues. And once you are disconnected from the roots, you cannot say that there is mentorship going on. Because we have to mentor someone.
Yeah.
And there is a problem with our survival in Nigeria. Let's stay with Nigeria. That people are so into survival that they are not thinking mentorship and succession. In fact, it is this bad. And that is why I'm worried.
Sorry, let me take you back. You say people are what?
People are so immersed in the need to survive that they are not thinking mentorship and succession.
Okay, that's the need to eat today.
Yes.
Clouds your judgment.
Yes. That they are not.
That there are better things ahead.
Yes. So they are not raising people ahead. They are not raising people to take over from what is ahead. Look around you, quite frankly, and think about most of the old monies that we know. After they die, their wealth goes to ruin. And it goes to ruin, quite frankly, many times because they were so interested in keeping wealth that they did not train their children on how to take over.
So I have a saying that I usually tell people, and for my kids too, I say, it is not about what you keep for them.
It's what you leave in them.
It's about what you leave in them. Because you may leave $10 billion. If you leave nothing in them, that $10 billion they will ruin it, and the money will destroy them. But if you leave something worth more than $10 billion, they will make more than $10 billion.
So part of the way we could grow this Nigerian dream or this Nigerian idea is we begin to mentor people.
Yes.
We begin to plant ideas that will grow into positive things tomorrow. Than struggling for who is this or who is that.
Yes. Now, let me share something with you. It's not enough to have a dream. It's not enough. Dreaming is free. It's a gift of nature. Anybody can dream. But to experience dream in reality is not a gift of nature. It requires learning.
Yeah.
It requires measure of leverage. It requires strategy. We sitting down in this interview are all Nigerians. We are all from the South.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to make this much more clear, except for those who already know us, but follow me. With what you have seen in the last 6 months, where there was an opportunity for a younger generation to step into power for the first time, do you see how clueless all of them are?
Yeah.
And what worsens that cluelessness for me is the fact that all of them are attached to one politician above them who they have been loyal to for years. You clearly see that they learned nothing. And they were taught nothing.
I would want to disagree that they learned nothing. I would say that they learned criminality.
Okay. So they learned nothing in the direction of the Nigerian dream.
Yes. So they learned, because when they were left alone, all they knew to do was the criminalities of their mentors.
That's all.
And then their mentors, they are groomed in the criminality, so they will always outsmart them in the criminal phase.
Guess what? They are also speaking of the Nigerian dream. But again, like I say, the Nigerian dream can be dreamt, can be caught. But to bring it to life, you have to know how.
Okay, now, so let us go to practicality. How or what do you think government across various levels, councillorship, local government, state government, senate, reps, and presidency, what do you think we can do to build a system that is patriotic with a Nigerian dream in mind that will traverse the vast part of Nigeria, northwest, east, and south? What do you think the government can do?
That question is a symposium. We will be on that question for a month in one room, constantly going back and forth. For a dynamic situation like this, I'm always careful when the question asked is, what do you think? One of the biggest challenges we've had across board is that we are always looking for a single answer to something that requires 40 answers. So when you say corruption is the problem of Nigeria, you are wrong. Because there's also ignorance.
And there is nepotism.
There is nepotism. There is tribalism. So if you can't sort one thing out without looking at the different angles. In fact, there is also the complication of laws and policies.
Yes.
There is almost no business. There is almost no church. There is almost no organization in Nigeria if we decide to go through the law that is not guilty of failing the law.
True.
Not because they want to be guilty, but one president came, scrapped this and brought this. Another person came, scrapped this and brought this. So there is a twist. Some documents no longer work. The people in the ministry cannot trace the document. In fact, the people in the ministry who are there now had no idea that there was something like that before. So when you go round and round and round, everybody is complicit.
Yeah, because when the law is not constant, how do you expect people to keep the law?
You get it.
Because what was relevant last 2 years is no longer relevant. And what was irrelevant last 2 years is relevant today.
So I think that we have to start with the amendment of the 1999 Constitution. First.
I think there is a process of that going on.
First. I don't
think that will be possible.
I think there have to be penalties. Penalties for every move that is against the law.
Do you know why it will never be possible?
Tell me.
The members of the Federal House of Reps and Senate,
undoubtedly,
they are also aspiring to be governors.
So, and they need the chaos.
Yes, you understand?
Yes.
So it's like you built a toll gate on one of the highways and you're collecting illegal toll. And somebody said, no, this is not the right thing to do. How can you build a toll gate here? You know, this place is there's always traffic jam here. Dismantle it. Nobody would want to, especially a man with a corrupt mind.
What I think is there will be somebody, that seeming minute, inconsequential person. Let me give you an example. everybody heralds Peter Obi.
Yeah.
Go back again in history. After he was done with his tenure, he walked away.
And everything went back to zero.
He should have been responsible for the preservation of what he started.
But that's also because he believed in idealism then.
That is the You now see the point? It is why I'm very skeptical about his candidacy.
True. Because I was telling someone, if you place an Obi and another candidate, which I will not talk about, that I will vote for the other candidate. And the person was saying why. I said, this person has willpower. This person literally entered the creeks and fought militants and chased them out of the state. This person installed security when there was insecurity in the state. So you need that, and you can do it in a non-ideal style.
I asked somebody 3 days ago, should we all, there are rumors in the media that says, Peter Obi is going to run for 4 years. After 4 years, what happens?
We go back to
he says when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. Whereas people like Dubai have a 60 years plan. How do you expect them to fail? They are passing the baton carefully. So we have people like him, like I said again, who went to office, did all the great things, walked away. Donald Duke went into office, did all the great things, walked away. We cannot walk away. If they stayed conscious to handing over, and they walked away for what is seemingly good, ideal. We want democracy. Let people choose. This is what people have chosen.
All right, so we'll soon come to the end of this. So I would want you to, what advice would you give to the young Nigerian in secondary school who would watch this and say, really, there is no Nigerian dream? It is a potential. Because your description is, I fly a lot, so, and when the aircraft is trying to boost momentum, he wants to test
taxiing.
Yes, no, it has not started taxiing. So it's just there, it's boosting momentum. You will see the engine revving and revving and revving and revving before it starts taxiing. So what you have told us now is all that Nigeria is that aircraft that has a lot of gifted people that are passengers, and it's just there revving the engine. It has not even started taxiing. But the Nigerian dream of a young child who is in that aircraft is that this aircraft should not just only rev the engine, it should taxi. Not just should it taxi, it should fly. Not just should it fly, it should land in a safe, conducive, good environment with electricity, security, freedom. That is what this child is dreaming about. What do you tell this child?
So I would not want to speak to the child.
Yeah.
I would not want to speak to the child because they are malleable, they are ductile, they have no idea of the Nigerian dreams. They are more driven by wishes.
But they are in the plane, and the plane is revving. So they just know that
they are on the plane. All they wish for. You ask a Nigerian child today, he wants to be a doctor.
True. Yeah.
You ask him tomorrow, he wants to be a mechanic. He does not understand all of the things that come together to make that work for him. Right?
Yeah.
All he knows is the vague idea of success. And because he's still very malleable, anything that points in that direction of that success, he will go for it. He doesn't understand principles just yet. So I would rather speak to those who lead these ones. I would rather speak to people who are just leaving the university, people who are serving their countries. Why? In 5 years, a good number of those people will be married and birthing children.
That's true.
And then they will be.
And those people now understand a bit of economics, a bit of the play. So I would rather speak to them because they are custodians of the next generation coming. And they are not bearing the frustration of those who have.
Yeah.
Yes, because what I realize that happens with old age is that with old age, people become weak. They talk less. They say, you know what, I'm at the departure lounge of life. I'll die any moment soon. You guys can do whatever.
You guys should manage yourself.
But these people who have another 50 years, are thinking of how to sort their lives out. So we need to speak to them. And they have close relationship with the next generation. The older generation has no idea what is going on. We are talking about new skills, new jobs. They are telling you about how it was in 1955. And this is not 1955. Already, we have a problem. What is our problem? Is the fact that the African space is still behind the world.
Yeah.
The internet came to the world and gained its best footing, if I remember clearly, in 1960. That's when Nigeria had independence. The first ATM cards was available in the US and some parts of the world in 1963. We had our ATM in somewhere around 2000. That's how behind the world we are. An average engineering student today in any university in Nigeria is still studying Fortran. They stopped using Fortran since 1999. We're behind the world already. So this is so sad. So we need people who are in the interim to relate with the other generation because they are closer.
Yeah.
So I will say to them, there is a potent Nigerian dream, but there is a kind of person you ought to be to see the Nigerian dream happen. So you have to ask enough, what kind of person should I be to see the Nigerian dream come to life and begin to shape yourself into that person? And also, I employ every young Nigerian to begin to learn how to figure their economics on time. The idea that you have to go to primary school, do 6 years, come to secondary school, do 6 years, then do 4 years, then come out with a degree that is behind the world, clueless about the world and how to make money, it's also frustrating. It is why people put their hands in things that they shouldn't put their hands in. If you are able to figure out, especially now that we have multiple remote jobs and jobs that you can do between your phone and laptop, I mean, at this point, a lot of intangibles are flying. Things like ghostwriting, things like communication expert, things like as simple as space management, people as simple as interior decoration. These ideas are coming up in places like where we are. You now find that real estate is thriving. And for a good number of the people, you get, real estate properties to start from at little or no cost, just so you go and market and you come and give back. So these soft skills of sales and all of this, you can learn them early enough to figure your economics. When you have figured your economics, you are stable enough to make decisions. I have been at points where all that would have been required to waive me is a few dollars. I was not waived. Not necessarily only based on my principles, but on the fact that what is being offered to me, I can also make it.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with my team members and we were saying, what if we hit this? I asked them, what if we make that? What if someone brings, I was like, no, that's too beneath us. So what if we make that?
Yeah.
So literally what you have said is the Nigerian dream should be built based on values.
True.
Okay.
There's something Solomon said sometime we were talking behind the cameras. He made a point that have been ringing in my head. If it were not for being a learned mind, I would have said maybe he's a apostle of God with a small letter A. He made something. He said, I told him, with the level of corruption in Nigeria, I don't think if Nigeria will be sane again, because everybody wants to be part of this corruption. He said he believes that Nigeria will thrive again. I now asked him why. He said the problem we have is that, I know he might have forgotten when. Okay. He said the problem we have is that most politicians, as they were, are jobless.
Truthfully.
So 90% or 95 or 95 are alleged, you see them follow their principal. Now, you are here, I'll carry your bag. I'll wash the car. I will do this. You go in a hotel, I will arrange your seat. True, when you go into the next office, you will want to appoint those boys that
appointment by servitude.
A group of
you remember when we talked about that?
They refer to as loyalty.
And now the problem is, I will now come into play when you are gone, and I don't have anything I do for work.
Yeah.
And you repeat the same circle.
Yeah.
Because your circle that would still come around you.
You know, when I started pondering about what you talked about, I realized that is why we have that do or die spirit.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I used to be a local government chairman, and you want to remove me. Aside the 1 or 2 hotels I built, what will I feed by? In Abia State, they have one funny Igbo, I would say, slang. They say, "Ono iriwego adigo committed." They say the mouth that have started eating is now committed.
Yeah.
So you can't decommission that mouth.
You cannot.
So instead of you to decommission that mouth, somebody will die. You understand?
Yeah, I hear
so
you.
that's what they say, "Ono iriwego adigo committed" one now. And from what Solomon said, you now see that I now started looking the whole thing from all the states in Nigeria. You hardly see so many professionals coming into leadership.
Yeah.
You know, what you see is one-time law graduates that have not been in court, or one-time engineering graduates that have not been in the field.
Yeah.
You know, or one-time this or that. You know,
Yeah.
So that's why I believe we have a problem. But he believes that the only way to solve that problem is to make sure that everybody that takes over a leadership position in the country or in Africa, as it were, will have something doing. He now made mention of Choppington, you know, that he is a photographer.
Yeah.
And that if he's no longer in power, he go back to his studio.
Back to his studio.
So
I sell software. I build software. So if I get into government today and they vote me out, I go back to my company. I run media stuff. I go back to my country. Why would I want to die when I can have an idea that I will sell tomorrow and make 71 times whatever I will make in government?
Yeah.
So how can we put in leaders that it goes back to the constitution you talked about?
You see, let's go back to the people. The worst of us in leadership was chosen by the best and the worst of us underneath. The best of us in leadership will be chosen by the best and the worst of us.
How?
All of these people emerging for political offices grew up in our communities.
Sure.
We know them.
We know that.
That's true.
But we have decided to ignore the fact that we know them. And then we voted.
Because they are from our tribe.
And we argued that this person is from my ward. The other person is not from our ward. So let's vote for that person from our ward against the value of the other ward. Or the other person from the other ward is in power. And we have been benefiting from his nuisance. So this one from our ward, who is valuable to the entire success, we must not bring him, because we are not sure if he emerges, whether he will come with his own people and then edge us out. So instead, let the other person remain there. If the world is dying, no problem, as long as we are surviving. These are the issues.
That's the issue.
All right. So your parting thoughts, Sammy. What's your parting thought?
Well,
what do you tell Nigerians about the Nigerian dream?
I want to build my faith on yours, because mine is on a sinking sand anyway. I want us to understand that there is hope. There is hope. Though it may seem as if we have been forsaken by God and by humanity. But like the principal has said, let me join those calling you principal. I've said, we should look above tribalism. We should look above sentiments. We should ask ourselves, how many weeks will I eat the 10,000 naira? How many weeks will I eat the 20,000 naira? You've been collecting 20,000 naira for 15 years, and your life has been the way it has been. Maybe it's a time to try something else. And I know with all my heart, when we do that, we'll be better persons.
Yeah.
All right, Principal.
Closing thoughts. Let me pick up from hope. Hope is a very important tool, but hope deferred, the Bible says, makes the heart weary. It then suggests to us that hope cannot be a standalone.
That's true.
And hope is not a strategy.
Hope is not a strategy. So to hope, we must add a couple of things. And I will not be exhaustive, but to hope, we must have knowledge. People speak about wisdom, but you cannot be wise until you know. Wisdom is predicated on knowledge.
Yeah.
You must have it in the sequence that the Bible talks about. You must have knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You can know something but don't understand it.
That's true.
You know your car, but you don't understand it. If you understand your car, Whenever it has a fault, you can fix it.
No need to go to the mechanic.
Good. Now, because you don't understand it, around the problem areas, you cannot find the expression in wisdom. So you must have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So you must start from the knowledge part. We have to know enough. So if you have hope, which in hope is your dream, you now have to know what we would like to call in business the value chain that will sustain that hope and bring to fruition the dream that you have. Remember that dreaming is free, but the expression and the embracing of that dream will not be free. It must be worked out with faith, trembling, and a measure of salvation.
When you emphasize on the trembling,
yes,
my heart trembles.
You have to tremble. You know?
Okay, so I will go on this passing thought. I remember my friend when we formed the Nigerian Dream. You know the funny thing is, he grew up in my state to be a very popular guy. But he did the same thing and he ruined his life. I wouldn't call his name, he's very popular. Or he was very popular. There was a time when a former governor was using him to fight. Okay, present governor was using him to fight a former governor. And he ruined his life. And this is someone that we had the dream together. I remember a couple of years back, I had the opportunity of going to Germany. I did go because I believed that this country would be good. Today, sometimes I stay and I look back and I say, did I make a mistake? There's a voice in me that will tell me you didn't make a mistake. I remember recently I was having a conversation with a friend in the UK. This guy he went to the UK 2 years ago and he was telling me what he has done. I told him, hey guys, see, in 10 years time, I bet you, including you and all of my friends, nobody can stand me when I stand. You know why? Not just do I believe in the greatness of this country, I believe in the resourcefulness of our people. I believe in the potential that we have. I believe that the aircraft that the engine is revving, it will soon taxi.
Yeah.
And it will soon fly. And those that are in the plane will land on the other side. And that side is the side I call the Nigerian Dream. So if you are hopeless today, I want you to have that hope that you see Nigeria, it will be good. I don't want to talk about it to be good again because I never felt it good. I've never seen it good. But I just know that Nigeria will be good. You know why? Because we have people like me, people like Isaiah Olumati, people like Samuel Osondo, people like you that will stay and build Nigeria the same way they say it of people that built America. We will say the people that built Nigeria. Thank you for watching the Powercast. And please subscribe, share, and keep watching. My name is Solomon with an X, and I come with a little bit of sauce every here and there. See you in another episode. Thank you.